All right, here we go. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Let us jump into it without further ado. Um, let's say the bracha together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'rei Torah. And action? No, not yet. Oh, and it seems there we go. Okay, so it's glitching a little bit. Maybe it doesn't want to be doing this on Shabbat. I don't know. Um, can you guys hear me? Oh, it's really bad on my end. But okay. Yeah, I see some serious glitches happening, so I don't know why. Okay, well, we finished chapter 5 last time we met, and we're on to chapter 6, 6 of 10. Slowly but surely, we make our way through this book. We're now at the halfway point. So let's see how chapter 6 fares. Um, we'll remember that the end of chapter 5 basically says we're supposed to enjoy life. Um, there's actually a positive spin on Ecclesiastes in terms of how we should. It's less about what's futility and more about possibility. So in the last ones, it says, "Only this I have found is a real good. Hine asher raiti ani tov asher yafeh lechol." It is, good to eat and to drink and to see goodness with all of one's toils, that they toil under the sun during the number of days of his life, which he, meaning God, gave to him, for that is his lot, that is his portion. And we also saw um, that verse 18 points out that whenever a person is given riches and property by God and also is permitted by God to enjoy them and to take their portion and get pleasure for that their gains, that is a gift. Matat Elohim he. The goodness is not our doing per se, it's divine. It's a divine gift. And then finally, in this kind of strange verse, it says, "For such a person will not brood much over the days of their life because God keeps them busy enjoying themselves." Okay. Any questions that were left off? Asher ra'iti tachat hashamesh v'rabahi al ha'adam. There is bad or evil which I've seen under the sun. So now we're going back to some of the problems. V'rabahi al ha'adam. And great it is upon humanity, or as they say, and a grave one it is for man. So there's this evil that is existing. It's a statement eventually to that point. Any comments on this very first verse? Not for good. Let's just put it like this. And I'm not even going to attempt to chant this verse 2. I think it's a little overwhelming for me. Ish asher yitin lo ha'elohim osher. That would given to that person wealth, unechasim, v'chavod, and possessions and honor. Ve'ineno chaser nafsho, and nothing is lacking for this soul, for this person. Mikol asher yit aveh, from everything which they desire or what they lust for. Velo yashlitenu, uh, God does not control them, or they have, but does not permit him to enjoy it, which is a strange one. Lechol mimenu, to eat from it. Okay, ki ish nochri yochlu, as a foreign person consume it. Zehevel v'choli rahu. This is mist, nothingness, and a bad evil. So a person, let's go back and break this down. God sometimes grants a person riches, property, and what? So they do not want for anything in his, does not want, in this case, want me like I shall not want, I shall not lack. It really means
Hello,
lack.
Rabbi.
He does not think. Yes.
Sylvia was just typing. Is everybody else hearing it too, or is it clear?
Yes.
I'm
Yeah,
having trouble.
it's like you're breaking up every other word.
Yeah, your
Yeah,
audio is going in and out.
I don't know what to do about that. I can start the whole thing over. I do see actually, I just now see that my, you know what? Why don't I do this?
Do you have
Let's
any
get off.
windows open besides this one?
Not about
I
the
found.
Windows. It's
Okay.
about the browser that is
Okay.
that needs an update. So I'm gonna just do that really quick. Why don't I pause this and then we'll come pause the recording because I think I can pause it. Okay.
Now it says recording in progress, so you're okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know what happened there, but it
And Rabbi,
happens.
we did hear verse 1. It was number 2 that it really started coming in and out.
Okay, I can start it over again. Verse 1, as we pointed out, says that there's evil under the sun and that um, we have to acknowledge that. And then he's about to give an example of dysfunction in the universe. Someone who God gives to them all the wealth that one could have, but but the person does not have in their ability to actually enjoy it. So you end up with a lot of wealth, but you don't get it. So Ish Asher Yiten Lo Elohim, a person who with whom God has given wealth, Osher Unechasim, property, Kavod, V'Chavod, honor, Ve'eineno Chaser LeNafsho, and their soul and the person lacks nothing. Mikola sher yitaveh, from anything, does not lack for anything that they desire or lust for. But lo yashlitenu Elohim, God does not permit him, does not cause through God's rule the ability for the person le'echol mimenu, to eat from it, even though they have all this wealth. Ki ish nochri yochlenu, but rather a foreigner or a stranger will consume it. Zehevel v'choli rahu. So this is futility and a great evil, or an evil sickness. So let's see what the commentary from Rashi
Right.
is on this. Oh yes,
Uh,
Camel.
it's a paradox because God gives him all the riches, but God does not give him the power to enjoy it. So what's up
Right,
with that? It seems like this is futility and an evil disease is my translation of that. It seems like God's causing it because God did not give the person the ability, the power to enjoy it.
right, exactly. I mean, I'm trying to think of what the example might be of such a thing before we look at the Rashi. I'm imagining maybe someone who, the first thought that came to mind is a Russian oligarch who has all their money, but then all the money is locked up by the state and they can't access their wealth. But that was my
Um,
first thought.
yeah, I guess that could be one way, but I would think more of the person that, acquires like five different houses and they're so busy working all the time that they actually never have a home. And all these other people are maintaining and taking care of their houses for them, and they're actually enjoying the houses maybe.
And I might say that, at the end they say, and it's a terrible illness or grievous ill or whatever, um, that perhaps when you have so much and then somebody gets cancer and they can't enjoy any of it because without health they can't eat, they can't enjoy the things they have accumulated.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
interesting. So that's a literal illness.
Yeah, and
Well, then there,
although I don't know if that's what they meant, but that really does happen.
Oh yeah.
Well, I was, sort of akin to Irvin's perspective. I was thinking about a person who just has so much wealth that they can't, they just can't be connected to it for one reason or another. But and then the illness in that sense is the person who is frantically trying to accumulate more wealth. That's an illness too, a type of materialism in which you spend more time just trying to accumulate it than actually make use of it.
Or the stress that having to manage all these things brings.
Right. Or the example of Hillel the Elder, who says in Pirkei Avot, the more flesh, the more worms. Right? That kind of
Right.
gross but powerful statement, you know. So let's see what Rashi has to say. Unless anyone Sylvia, did you want to add something? Sorry.
The one that always comes to my mind, just because I connect to it, is that Twilight Zone where the guy has a whole library to read and his glasses break.
Oh, yes. Right. Yes.
One other. Oh,
Go ahead.
okay. Well, it's using that word havel again, right?
Yes,
The
Hevel,
fourth
yes.
one, havel, which is what's been kind of the theme throughout here. It's all fruitful and
Pointless
pointless.
futility.
There you go. Right, there we
Yes.
go.
Yeah. Um, and then Sylvia mentioned a Twilight Zone episode, and I thought of another one in which there's a couple of these, and it's a classic motif in literature. I think it's Faust, who has the idea of, making a pact with the devil, and in the end, you make the pact and you get whatever you want, but then uh, there's a twist in it and it ends up being a disaster. So, the Twilight Zone episode where the guy wants to be like the most powerful man in the world and, snaps his fingers and it turns out they immediately show him with a Hitler mustache. So, like he became the most powerful man in the world, but it turns out that wish, he was granted three wishes. That wish led him to being the most evil man in history at that point in time. So there's a lot of examples of these. Let's see what Rashi has to say. Yet God does not give him the power to eat thereof, that he should be happy with his portion to find satisfaction in his wealth, for he strives to oppress and to accumulate much wealth, as the matter is stated, and he is like death and is never satisfied. From the book of Habakkuk, which is kind of unusual. We never see quotes from Habakkuk. And also, he does not give him the power to perform tzedakah, charity. I'm sure that's what the word is, from which to eat in the future. But a stranger will take that money and perform charity, and he will benefit from it. Okay, according to the Targum, the verse is dealing. So the Targum is the Aramaic translation. The verse is dealing with a person who dies on account of his sins without leaving heirs. His wife marries a stranger who enjoys the estate that he left. Oh my God.
There you go.
That'll teach him. That's a very
That's
That
very
strange.
that
Talmudic, right? Wouldn't you say, Sylvia? Yeah.
that's the
However, the
way
Midrash Haggadah explains it as referring to Torah study. Of course it does. And here's what the Midrash Haggadah says. Wealth, possessions, and honor is a reference to scripture. In other words, Tanakh, Mishnah, and Haggadah. Isn't that interesting? I don't really see that, but not surprising that Rashi would quote that. Does not get velo yashli tenu, does not give him the power. Right. I think that's a better translation than what I was saying. Because he did not achieve, they're saying, the knowledge of Gemara, because they're basing it on this idea right before that it's wealth, possessions, and honor. Because he did not achieve knowledge of Gemara, he consequently has no benefit from his studies and any practical decision making. So you can see how far Rashi goes in another direction based on his theology, based on his reading of traditional sources that really are not what the text is obviously saying, but it also hints at the fact that the rabbis took interpretations and really ran with them. Um, so in this one, it seems like a person learns, from Rashi's perspective, a person gains all of this Torah knowledge, but well, actually does not. A person who does not receive those things, a little confusing.
Well, it's another example of a case. I mean, you could take this literally or you can take it figuratively. So it's another example of somebody that has the ability to acquire this wealth of knowledge, and yet he doesn't have the power to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Also, I think of friends or people that work and their work becomes their life and their relations, and then they stop and they retire and die, or just never use it in the way that they had originally planned on using it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it also, maybe another interpretation is estate taxes. And the next generation, if you see the person linked, it's interesting in light of Tzalofachad from this week's parashah. There is a little bit of a way in which intergenerational wealth is being cut off, at least the way Rashi interprets this thing about a widowed woman who becomes who ends up marrying another person, and all the wealth goes to that person. Anyway, very interesting. Let's keep going unless there's anything else you want to say about this verse 2. Okay. Im yolid ish 100 rabot yichyeh v'rav sheyu yemei shanav nafsho. Right. If a person should give birth, if a man should birth, or sire, I guess might be a translation. It would be interesting if anyone has that. If a man should sire 100, 100 children, 100 people, and shanim rabot, many years live, v'rav sheyu, v'rav sheyu yemei shanav nafsho, that the days of his life should be many, something along those lines. Lo tisba min hatova. If v'gam kvura lo haitalo. Oh, v'nafsho lo tisba, and his soul, his being, will not be satisfied from the goodness. V'gam kvura lo haitalo, and his grave. I'm having a hard time with this one.
Mine
Avital.
says he, mine says he does not even have a burial.
Right.
V'gam
Kwa would
kvura
be
lo
burial.
haitalo. And he doesn't have, right, he doesn't have a kavura. He doesn't have a grave, essentially. Amarti tov mimenu hanafel. Hanafel, I guess, is the stillbirth. So, just as good as it is basically the stillbirth, or better than
That's
tov
the
mimenu,
trait, yeah,
better than
better.
him.
That's what the
Better than him.
translation says.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine better
Tov
Children
than
is
he.
better off than he. Yeah.
Yeah, tov mimenu, better than him, is the nafel, the nefel, the stillbirth, the yeah, stillbirth.
Untimely birth.
What's that?
Mine says an untimely birth is better than he.
Yeah, a nefel, I think, is it could be a stillbirth. I think it could be even a miscarriage. I mean, on some level, they want to affirm a living being, and for them, stillbirth would be a child that is born. So
Well,
if a
Nephil comes from to drop. I mean, the root of it is to fall.
yeah, right.
So I think a stillbirth makes kind of sense. I don't know if they had the words for that.
Well, but this is, I think, a word that I've seen this word before to describe stillbirth. Oh God, here comes the cat.
Well, the
Does it
sentence
have a translation in the Safaria, what that word
Yeah,
is?
yeah, stillbirth is perfectly good. Let's see what they say here. Yeah, miscarriage.
is better
Oh.
than he. This sentence is really
So,
backwards. Or I
so
mean,
there's
Yeah,
a
is
man.
more fortunate than he is what the rabbi got on his there.
This is a very strange one because if he had 100 children, he had to have some fun in his life, right?
One would think.
Yep. And he lives many years, and but the only thing is his soul is not content with what he has. But I don't understand the connection with, and he is even deprived of burial. Where does that come from?
I think that maybe and his soul will not ונפשו לא תשבע מן הטובה, and his soul will not I forget how we use the word tisba, but like get full or enjoy from the goodness. And even burial he didn't have. So for some reason, it's like he fell on hard time in the end.
You think he
It's
fell
not,
on hard times?
otherwise, why would he not have a burial?
Right.
Like
I mean,
typically we
because
get buried.
he's got 100 children, and there is the mitzvah of burying somebody. So why isn't he being buried?
Well, if you look at it again, okay, on the interpretation I have here, it says if a man begets 100 children and lives many years, and however numerous the days of his years are, then there's a comma. Okay, now this is where it comes in. If his soul is not filled with good, and he does not even have a burial, then I say that a stillbirth is better than he. And that's kind of an interesting interpretation, doing it that way, as saying, here's a guy that even if you have 100 children, which is supposed to be very good, and he's got lots of years, that's all well and good. But if his soul is not filled with good, they're saying if it's not filled with good, and he does not even have a burial, then I say that stillbirth is better than he. So it's not saying that particular person, but he's saying if that person, ends up not having a good soul.
Right. Maybe they're saying that his soul is not enjoying the tispa. Maybe the word means to enjoy or to take in the goodness that he has had. Maybe.
The
so
the
they're
trans
saying that's better than to have been born. He shouldn't even have been born.
So
Right.
okay, so let's look at the way this translation presents it. They're not saying it the way we're saying it.
Okay.
Even though there is this et nachta, let's just focus on how this works. That means that there's a sentence break here. But the translation is putting the break here so that this is the thought, which means a stillbirth does not have a burial, right? The nefel, gam kvura lo haitalo, amarti tov mimenu. See how they translate this?
Oh,
They
yeah.
flip it
That makes
around
more
so that
sense.
though it was not even accorded a burial, is more fortunate than he. You see how they're doing it?
Yeah, that makes more sense than the man not having a burial. It's the
Right.
stillbirth. That makes more sense.
So, yes, somehow this man's life is so wretched because he cannot be satisfied with the extraordinary abundance of wealth that he has accumulated. And so that the stillbirth has had a less painful life.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Haitalo, Amarti Tov Mimenu. Better than him is the stillbirth. The stillbirth never experienced the suffering that this rich guy had. Isn't that interesting? But that's
Very
this
interesting.
translation. I
That's pretty intense.
I love to see. Yeah, it reminds me of a couple of Dylan songs, like Positively Fourth Street or Masters of War, where he just kind of goes and digs really deep. Is not worth the blood that runs down the drain. The kind of like it's almost braggadocio. Okay, so let's look at these translations. So what we just read is this one: the stillbirth, though it was not even accorded a burial, is more fortunate than he. The 1917 says, and I think, Sylvia, you have this one: if a man beget 100 children and live many years, so that the days of his years are many, but his soul have not enough of good, and moreover he have no burial. So along the lines of what we were saying, and moreover he have no burial, then et nachta, I say that an untimely birth is better than he. So that is the older translation, but I think we all would agree that's a little strange. I actually think
Yeah.
they give a great answer in this one. Let's see what some others say.
Maybe the idea of getting no burial is because is kind of the community doesn't care for him, so there is no, there's no people to accompany him to bury him. Maybe that's what it kind of hints at.
Uh-huh.
But he has 100 children. Somebody would take upon themselves that.
But he's so wretched and unable to enjoy his life that nobody, not even those 100 kids, want to go. I mean, maybe.
That's very sad.
Yes.
And then there's Rabbi Shraga Silversteiner, our good friend. The man begat 100 sons and lived many years, and the days of his years suffice for all manner of good. If his soul not be sated of that good, if he's not happy with what he got, the man not rejoicing in his lot, and burial also not be his, all of these having obtained with King Ahab, then I say that better than he is the stillborn, who had never seen good nor lusted for it. Better to have not lusted than to have lusted and be miserable, which I think is what we were concluding anyway.
Instead of better to have loved and lost than never have loved before, this would be better to
Better
never
to
have
have
loved.
Right. It's the opposite of that statement, right?
Right.
Better to have never loved than to have loved and lost. Instead of losing, it's more like, and never felt satisfaction from it.
Wow.
Let's take a look at what Rashi has to say. I think it'll be interesting to see, because we have a clear challenge in this translation.
I was sneaking a look at the next verse because I keep thinking of Bruria saying, cast your eyes to the end of the verse instead of, and then you will know what you are reading. So I casted my eyes, and I think now that would explain a little bit what this is, but I won't say anything. I'll keep my mouth shut. We'll
Okay.
get there eventually.
I read ahead too, Sylvia.
So Rashi says when it says 100 children, that's not literal. It means a lot of children or children, period. And then so that the days of his years are many and much wealth and all is his. Verav is an expression meaning sufficient. In other words, he's sufficient. He received a sufficient level of goodness. Okay. But his soul is not satisfied, right? Lo tisba mina tova. From that goodness, for he is not happy with his portion to be satisfied with what is his. So this has echoes of Ezahu Ashir, who is rich, Hasameach bechelko, one who is happy with their portion. This guy is not happy with his portion. So in the Midrash, they associate it with spiritual, but I think we can skip that. And moreover, he has no burial. So let's see how he makes sense of it. Sometimes he is slain and dogs devour him. All these happened to Ahab. He begot many children, and he had great wealth, but he coveted the property of others and was not satisfied with his wealth. And after he was killed, dogs devoured him.
Oh, that's
So,
why he didn't have a burial.
yes. So here's the midrash on this. This is interesting.
Right.
What's
I
that?
remember this. I remember this story.
According to the midrash, only Ahab's blood was not buried. As scripture states
Mhm.
in First Kings, the dogs licked it up, but his body was buried in Shomron. Alternatively, he did not have a proper burial, i.e., or e.g., he was buried without burial shrouds. Okay, thanks, Ibn Ezra. Or he was involved and focused on accumulating wealth to such a degree that one might think he would live forever and need no burial. So clearly, when you have so many interpretations, it means that the rabbis also were struggling with what the heck does this mean?
So we're in good company.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Better off than he is the stillborn child, the stillborn of a woman. For the stillborn came in vanity and went. He neither saw good nor desired it, so he does not need to be distressed. Well, okay, so we already got that. Okay, very interesting, right? Next one, right? Are we good?
Yes.
Ki vahevel ba uvachoshech yelech uvachoshech shmo yechuseh. For in Hevel, in futility, he comes, and in darkness he will go, and in darkness his name is covered. So, who is the he in this?
The
I,
stillborn.
I think it's the stillborn. So, I think yeah, it feels like it's linked to the previous verse. Any thoughts on that? Kiva Hevel, in futility. Tzarich sheyit alam shemo velo yizkor. That one needs that he will be forgotten, his name will be forgotten or will disappear, and he will not be remembered. Velo yizacher is how I'd read that. So a stillbirth or a miscarriage, and it really they don't seem to make a distinction in Hebrew, a nafel, a nephel. This, by the way, I think that a nephel is literally when you think about birthing, the child or the embryo, right? It drops, right? The fetus drops out of the the canal, the birthing canal. So I think that's why it's a nephel, like it has fallen, right? Nephila. That's why that's called a miscarriage in Hebrew, a nephel.
Mhm.
So this nephel is as is like hevel. It is like futility. It is like mist. It is so ephemeral, and better that ephemerality than all the torment of having this, all the struggles mentioned above with all the wealth. Okay, any comments on that? These are short verses now. Gam shevesh lo ra'a velo yada nachat lazeh mizeh. Gam shemesh, and the sun he had not seen. That is the nephel, the miscarriage or the stillbirth. Velo yada, and he never knew about it. Never knew. Nachat lazeh. There is comfort for this from this. Kind of interesting in light of all the discussions about abortion, actually.
Well,
Now,
And
what?
Instead, oh,
go ahead.
I was
Oh,
going to
just
say you're
instead
interpreting.
of,
Oh,
oh, instead, I'm going to just talk. Okay. Instead, I have the floor. Instead of comfort, my translation says gratification. This hath gratification,
That
which
works
is
too. Nachat, it's the same word in Yiddish as nachas.
nachas. Oh, okay. Huh.
What I was going to say is that um, in the Talmud, when they talk about a child that is stillborn, they don't consider that a person. They don't consider it having contentment or anything like that until it's
Right,
born.
and they're even explaining it right here. They don't really know what the sun is. There's a way in which they never really were, is what's being argued.
But
now
they're
you're
saying that it has more contentment than this man, but that's really bizarre because they don't really have contentment.
I think we put the word and yet that's better than that miserable soul that the dogs ate. So I think they're saying even I think the word yet to put it in there, if then that's even better.
Yeah, I don't think it's speaking to the contentment, even though that word nachat is in there. It's more like instead of saying how great it is to be a miscarried being, it's really saying it's more miserable to be someone tormented in this world.
Who doesn't enjoy his lot and all of the things that he
Right,
has.
right. Better to go back to Sylvia's comment. Better to have better to the opposite of the statement is better to have never had these things than to have had these things and lose it or not be satisfied by it.
Strange
the
message when you think we're going through life as best we can. I mean, what are we going to do? Oh, darn, I should have been a miscarriage. I mean,
no, it's not saying that at all. It's saying that you should be grateful for what you have and where you're at. And that if his soul is not filled with good, and fill your soul with good and be grateful for what you have and where you're at.
Well, I do
Yeah,
think
I kind of agree.
that this is saying that there's a big difference between, I mean, if we bring this into the realm of the modern conversations, it's really saying that a miscarriage or a stillborn is just fundamentally not the same as a human who has had a full life. There is a way in which, and this I think is consistent with the halakha that says you don't say Kaddish up until 30 days after a child is born. Um, there are these pushes that are sort of suggesting the quality of the fetus that's different. I mean, I'm sure that many miscarriages are happening in the last trimester in this world, the world of Ecclesiastes of Kohelet.
Well, what
But
it
I
was
think
saying here is that this fellow that's so rich and not enjoying his life at all is off worse than if he'd never been born, is basically is what I'm thinking of saying, more so than given the stillbirth and everything like that. It's just saying that he'd been better off never being born.
Or of being, he's saying that it's better. He would have been better off to have died in that first, moments after being birthed, than to have had a full life with misery. I don't think that we can say never have been born because I think that for the rabbis, they see a miscarriage or a stillbirth, and we don't know because the word is not precise here. They see it as being birthed, being
Yeah.
born. Yeah. Anyway, very interesting. And I think, yes, the point is very clear. It's a wretched way to be
yeah,
if you
don't be
can't enjoy.
wretched.
Yes. All right. Ve'ilu haya elef shanim pa'amayim v'tova lo ra'a halo el makom echad hakol holech. Even if he lived 1,000 years, um, twice, so 2,000 years, and the tova lo ra'ah, but he never saw goodness. Halo el hamakom echad hakol holech. So even in that situation, in which the person had incredible lifespan but was not happy in their life, is it not? Uh, this is an interesting form for those of you learning Hebrew. Halo, when you have, I'll circle this, just a little grammar lesson. When you see ha in front with the chataf patach, that means it's a question. Is it not, um, or in this case, for are not both of them um, bound for the same place? Is not to one place everyone going? It's a strange locution, but aren't all beings going to the same place?
Everyone
That's,
has to die. Whether
yep,
you live 80 years or you live 2,000 years or whatever they're saying.
right.
I'm
Or you,
laughing because I'm like with Avital. Remember when we started this and we're like, oh, you were like, oh my gosh, this is so depressing. Well, now I'm coming over to Avital's team of
Right? This
yikes.
is really not. Uh, I mean,
No,
even to say that to think about a stillborn rather than never been born, like his imagery is so negative. Like
it sounds
stillbirth
very,
is
it,
very unfortunate. It's
it
horrible.
sounds very sarcastic Israeli. Like I could imagine Israelis saying, like I picture, guys who are like, Tanakh is full of crap. And yeah, I mean, you might as well just be a stillbirth, you know. I don't know.
I mean, it's just so negative.
Yeah.
yeah. Do you think, I mean, this is like, I think one term for this is wisdom literature. Do you think that a person who has all this wealth and doesn't enjoy it, they could read this and go, oh my God, I'm on the wrong track?
Wouldn't that be
But
nice?
then,
I
Hey, now
know.
I'm going to, take
that's
my
right. Oh, I'm
antidepressant
gonna
and
do
I'll be
something
fine.
different.
Well, King David, he
And
was read
Saul
Saul. Is that what you said?
was it depressive? Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking of King David with his accumulation of wealth and
Mm.
all the kings. I mean, this is definitely literature for the rich and famous, just like King Solomon. Um,
And then I
but
keep
I
thinking, what about their mothers? The stillborn's mother. The I'm sorry, Pamela, you and I
well,
have like talked about, what about this rich guy's mother? I mean,
I'm gonna make one more like little defense of
okay.
Kohelet just to say that a lot of our acculturation as 21st century Americans in an era of wealth and accumulation of wealth and privatization of property and all the ways in which our society is constructed around money, of course this is going to be extremely depressing. But there could be other cultures for which this isn't nearly as depressing. Communities that are built around the highest priority being friendships and partnerships might not be as upset by this text, I think.
Well, I don't, I think this is showing you what is a bad example. And there's nothing wrong with that, actually, to say, if you're going down this path, this is where you might end up or you might be. And so using a bad example is just as good as a good example if you've got a lesson to learn from somebody else's experience.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
mean, I,
looking
I,
at
I try to learn from other people that have had misfortunes or fallen or this or that and go, okay, I don't want to do that.
Right.
when I think looking at the people on this Zoom, I don't see anyone here who doesn't value friendship over. I mean, you guys are all awesome. But so maybe this is for I don't know. I mean, I think many of us already know this lesson and are living it.
Well,
I
maybe
like
that gives
that.
us, maybe it gives us some satisfaction when we see people in power that are like this. We'll say to ourselves, yeah, but it's as if a stillborn would have a better life than him, right? It's just a way to look at somebody that is misusing everything that's been given him to get some satisfaction that he's going to pay a price.
Right.
Not to say anybody in particular in my example.
I think about all these celebrities and, oh, she's battling something or other. And I'm going, well, how nice to be battling that and being rich as all can be, as opposed to the people I know who are battling that same problem and aren't celebrities and don't have all this great stuff. So, you know, what can I say?
So Rashi interprets this not as 2,000 years, but I'm sorry, Ibn Ezra interprets this as 1 million years. If he had lived 2,000 years, but according to Ibn Ezra, it's Elef Pa'amayim, like 1,000,000, right? Which is a million, which is interesting. What advantage would he have since he did not experience any pleasure? Will he not ultimately return to the dust like all the poor people? So, yeah, I don't know where he says. Oh, here, yeah. Min im umin lo ve'elef pa'amayim elef alapayim
No,
kamo
Elef
es
Alafim.
alafim 1,000 thousands kamo esrim pa'amayim hem arba me'ot. Right. Just like 20 times 20. 20 twice. 20 twice is the same as 20 times 20, which is 400. So that's how he does the math. Anyway,
And one thing that's interesting on the interpretation I'm looking on yours, it says, but never had his fill of enjoyment. My interpretation is he has seen no good.
yeah, that's probably a more accurate reading what you have, Irvin. But the
Oh, okay.
implication is kind of the same, at least according to these guys.
Okay.
Okay. Kol amal hadam lefihu v'gam hanefesh lo timale. All the toil of a person is for his mouth, but also the nefesh will not be filled. They say his gullet, but I think it's really his soul.
Mine
He
says
won't be
appetite
satisfied.
Somebody with an eating disorder.
or Prader-Willi syndrome.
CF Proverbs 16:26. Do you want to take a look?
Yeah.
Let's see what happens while we're waiting. We'll look at this. All man's labor is for his mouth, that he should benefit in me in the world and in the next, but this one had no benefit in his life. Okay, so let's see what 16:26 says. All of men's earnings is for the sake of his mouth. Let's see how that is found here. 16:26. Nefesh amel amlalo lo achaf alav pihu. The appetite of a laborer labors for him because his hunger forces him on. Achaf. That's a weird word.
That's like bound on him, um, forced on him. They say forces him on.
Yeah, to press force.
It's kind of like with like when you put a saddle on a horse, that's the root of that when you put it on him.
I see. So the reason that the laborer labors is because ultimately they need to eat. Oops, what happened here? That's weird. Well, can you guys still see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me something weird happened. I don't know why. Okay. So that was for this one. Okay, should we keep going? Where are we in
6 o'clock.
time? We have a
Uh,
couple minutes.
yeah.
More verse?
What?
Ki ma yoter lechacham min
I think you
haks.
jumped one.
Oh, did we? No.
I think
Yeah,
did you do 27?
27.
We're
27.
on number 8.
Ish Bleal Correa. Yeah, or number.
I think we're right here. We're on the next one.
I think you're on Proverbs still.
Yeah,
No,
you're
I'm
Or
somewhere
am I
else.
wrong?
Oh, you know what? I think you're seeing a different window than I am.
You are.
Let me
You're on
go.
Mishle.
It's after the appetite of the laborer labors for him because of his hunger.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. Let's try that again.
There we go.
Ma yoter lechacham min haksil. Ma le'ani yodea laloch neged hachayim. Yeah, that was right. Because what is better for a why is a wise person better than a fool? Or what is the yoter? I think here is more like yitron, like um
Better
the yeah, like
advantage.
the
They use the
advantage.
word advantage.
Yeah, the advantage. So what is advantageous for the what is more advantageous for the wise than for the fool? Um what the poor person knows to go neged hachaim, how to get on in life is how they have it. What advantage has the pauper? I think the question is actually twice. What is better for the wise than for the fool? What is better for the poor person who knows how to go? Uh, um, yeah, it's a little clumsy, but and I can't click it for some reason. But I think you understand that they're saying maybe it's, what we think of as being so much better by being wise or being wealthy doesn't really work.
This has a pretty good interpretation, or at least it flows pretty well. It says, "For what advantage has the wise man over the fool? Question mark. Or the poor man with his knowledge of experience over the other living."
Right. Who knows how to go in this world, um,
Yeah.
juxtaposed with the living.
So mine has walking before the living, which is, I think, an odd translation as opposed to going, how to get on with life.
Right.
Is it
Lahaloch is not modern Hebrew, so it's a little tricky. We would say lalechet,
hello? Laleket? Yeah. Or hello.
but yeah, I think we get the gist of it though. So I think we should stop here.
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you very much. We made it through 6:8. Probably the most famous 6:8 is Micah 6:8. which is to only do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. So we'll remember that. Next week, we'll start up with 6:9. All right?
Shabbat shalom.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbat shalom.
Bye-bye.
Shabbos,
Shavua
good.
Tov. Thank you very much, Rabbi.
You bet. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Rabbi.
You bet.